because
Now, in which particular portion that you want me to?
can you go through from the, because there's question and the questions in like in the three.
The complete solved template. The describe is not defined.
Yes, the grader wouldn't work because I don't have the library for that. But yes, I think yes, I delete. I know this one I didn't put the code that I put in before because I wasn't sure how to solve it. So
Okay, so you want me to use this as a code which you just shared me. Okay.
yes, sure.
So
I would like first to understand what the question asks, and number two is how to solve it with the code.
So let's first understand the question here.
Okay, sure.
So I am also reading it with you only. I am not sure how confident I am, but let me try. Our beneficiary data scripts contains the quantitative data on the number of items dispensed, the total quantity item dispensed, and the net cost of the ingredient, and the actual cost of the patient. Whenever working with the new data set, can be useful to calculate the summary statistics to develop the feeling of the volume and the character of the data. This makes it easier to spot the trends and significance. So calculate the sum, mean, standard deviation, quartile statistics for each of the quantiles. Format of your result is list. So sum, mean, standard deviation, first quartile, median, and third quartile. You will create a tuple of this list. Okay, so you are supposed to get the sum, mean, standard deviation of the particular data. Let me just try to see which data it is talking about. Is it this practices? Is it this data it is talking about?
Yes.
Let me check. What exactly it is part of here. So which data it is passing out here. So this is perfect. Items is what it is giving me as an input. And summary is this. So I don't understand. Is it this data? Grader
No,
is the data.
that is just the grader.
So I need to. This is the scripts.
Yes.
Actual cost, BNF code, BNF name, item, NIC, practice, and quantity. Is it that same? Scripts, beneficiary data scripts. Okay, I'm supposed to use scripts as a data. So if I want to add a new line to it, how should I do that?
You click on code. So if you the code part up there, so next to the text. So once you click on the code, then you add a new line of code, and yes.
Okay, perfect. So let me use this scripts. Okay, so this is what it is scripts. So I think this is the data set where it is. Let me check whether I run this code, what is coming up. So this script, if I just put import pandas SPB, okay, it is coming like this. Now if I want to add a new code, scripts and convert it into a data frame pd.data. Let me check whether it is working. So this is the data. Okay, perfect. Now, what is the question that I need to let me check? So I will just save this data into some scripts underscore temp equals to this. I saved it here. Let me now try to create a new code, which is this head. So this is giving me first 5 rows of the data. Perfect. Now, if you want to have the just put describe and get the output. So this is what it is: count, mean, standard deviation.
But actually, one of the requirements for the one of the requirement for the notebook is that I cannot use Panda or NumPy. They want me to write a function.
So this is not Panda NumPy. This is the regular.
Oh.
This is just a describe function of.
Oh, I see. Oh.
Okay. Let me try to make it sure. Whenever there is a new data set, useful to calculate the statistics. Okay. So what did you do here? Let me check. So you're giving a calculating a summary, giving the items and describe data items. Mhm. So describe is fine. What I'm actually looking for is describe items. And you have created a, what is this describe here? Have you created anything describe? So it is asking you to use the scripts and you have not used the scripts at all. Yeah, but you are still getting some outputs. Strange.
Let me quickly double check on my server to see.
Describe key scripts. Okay, you use scripts here. Okay, okay, I got you now. So quantile ranges is for quantile. Okay, so I think in scripts. So key for key in scripts, get the values, and then you get the total like this, average like this. Okay, so let me try to explain it to you this way. Okay, copy paste and save it in this data set so you can be more clearer to. And if I want to delete any of them, how can I do that?
Oh, you just you see in your right hand there's a bin symbol. Yes. So yeah.
This is where I can delete. Okay. So I think I should click on this and delete. This. Perfect. Should not be using this as well. This as well. Okay. And I will be creating a new row above. Copy cell and new cell above. Okay. So now this is the standard quantile describe and describe items.
Oh, Manish, I have a question. Could you explain to us what does it mean by quantile or like some of the statistics?
Yes, yes. Quantiles. So see, quantiles are nothing but interquantile ranges. Okay. So here, say for example, let me try to open a paint for you or an Excel.
Oh, Excel would be wonderful. I love last time how you explained it to me in Excel.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing it again. Okay. See, so there can be two type of ranges. So one is simple range, another is interquartile ranges. Quantile ranges. Okay, so what is interquartile? So ranges is nothing but if you have the list of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. If you understand the quantile range, max ranges of it, you have to just take minimum of this value minus maximum of this value. Okay, so this will give you the range. Okay, so this is the range.
Yes.
Now, in the same data, if you want to find out the interquartile range. Okay, so interquartile range is nothing but quantile 3 minus quantile. How to find a quantile? Okay, so that's the question. So quantile is nothing but the median value actually. Now, if you want to find a median of this, which one is the median? So median is the mid value, right? So there are 11 such values. So 5 are here and 5 are here. So this becomes my median, exactly the mid value, right? So you can see this is the count coming out to be 5 and this is count coming out to be 5. So wherever is the exact median, this is quantile 2 or you can say 50%.
I see.
The quantile. Okay. Now I have this list here as well, this list here as well. Now this is again we can divide this into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is my quantile. So this is 1, this is 2. Okay, so this becomes my quantile, the value number 6. Now this is 50% of my quantile. Now I want to find the remaining 25% and 25%. Now if I just divide this into 2 parts, this becomes my median. right?
Oh.
So this becomes my quantile number
Mm-hmm.
1, okay, which
Oh.
is 25% of my quantile.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the mid of this is nothing but this number. So this
Mm-hmm.
becomes my median 3.
Mm-hmm.
This becomes my quantile number 3.
Oh, I see.
Okay, that is becoming my 75% of my quantile. Are you getting me? Now, if
Mm-hmm.
I want to find a range of it, so quantile range can be 3 minus 1. Okay, so 3 minus 1. So quantile range can be 9 minus 3, that is 6. So my quantile range will be 6. So this is how you can get it a quantile. Now say for example, if you are only getting even numbers out of it instead of odd numbers, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So in this quantile ranges, you have total 10 digits. Now there are 4 here and 4 here. So this becomes my center. So that is fine. Median value. Right?
Oh.
So this is my 4 and this is my 1. But in this, which one can be the median? I have only exact even numbers. So the number between these two, that is 2 and 3 becomes my median. So 2.5 is going to be my median for quartile 1. That is 25%.
Yes.
I have to take the average of the two middle values. Similarly, here I have to take the average of two middle values. So median of quantile 25% it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you aware of now? Are you clear with quantile
Yes.
ranges?
Yes. Oh, I see.
That
Sorry.
is what it is.
Again, on the calculation of you said quantile 3 minus quantile 1. So in this case, the one that you just give me, like how would you calculate it? So it would be like 8 minus 3, right?
In this, it will be the mid value of 7.5 minus 7.5 minus 2.5.
Oh.
So my range will be around 5. So
Oh,
that
I
is
see.
the my quartile range.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is what here you can see 0.25. So if they want to directly find which is the value of
Mm-hmm.
0.25, which is the value
Mm-hmm.
as 0.5, which is the
Yes.
value as
Yes.
0.75, it is
I
this.
see.
Directly it will going to get it.
Yes.
So you
I
just
have
pass on all the list of values and you will get the quantile ranges.
yes. I have another question though. So what do you use quantile for? What do you use it in the real life case? What would
Okay. So quantile ranges are actually used for understanding how your data is spreaded. Okay.
oh,
So what is the variation that you are able to get it into the data? That's where the quantile ranges are used. So you can so what happens, like if I'm using the range, like a salesperson, like a sales team comes and tell you that we have, you can just tell in a particular week this is the sales. Okay.
mm-hmm.
But here what happens is that uh, if I'm having 10 teams, okay, and one team is selling 10, second team is selling 2 products, 3 products, sell products, and some of the teams are selling 100 products or the 1,000 products, okay,
Mm-hmm.
like this. So these are the outliers, right? So these are the team which is outperforming well. But my overall, all the teams are into this range. Only 2 teams have
Mm-hmm.
outperformed. So I
Mm-hmm.
cannot tell that my sales team has worked, you know, uh, with the range of sales is within range to 1 to 1,000 because these are 2 outliers. So
Mm-hmm.
to avoid this, we will always deal with the quantile ranges, some values which is representative to your population. That's where the quantile ranges comes into the picture, which is least affected by your outliers.
Oh, I see. Yes, I'm clear now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now you can see here that this is the data that we are going to pass. Okay, so we are giving in items. Okay, now if you are aware of the dictionaries, right? So if I'm creating a dictionary, okay, so dictionary is made of key and the value, right? So key and the value is the portion of dictionary. So say example, if I want to create a dictionary with name 10, okay,
Mm-hmm.
key as a dictionary. So I have to give a key like uh, 0 represent, okay, I just put 0 and put I as my value, right? Then 1 and my value can be hello, for example. Now, if I want to fetch the values of this key, if I have to pass out a key here, so you can see I have to pass a value like 0. So this is going to give me the high as a value. So if whatever value I give, I will get a output as high and all. Now here, if I just give items, it is going to give me the list of items. If I just, these are the list of items within it. Okay, so that's why. So it is going to give me the list of key value pair altogether. Now coming back to your example, I'm passing out the items as a text. Okay, so here it is giving me, I'm trying to go through every script. So script is into the dictionary form. So if you have observed, so here whatever information that we have received as a part of the script is it into a dictionary form. See, this is my script. See, this is into a dictionary form. So this is my key. Big file. This is my key. Okay, and this is my value. So every key value pair is there for every single row of my data. Getting it? Now I am going to fetch this information with key value pairing. So that's what it is doing here. So you can see here, it is going to pass a for loop in the script and only going to get the key. So it is passing a key. So if you pass a key, what you will get a value, right? So it's similar to this example. If I pass a key, I'll get a value. So this is my key and the output is value. So similarly, I'm passing a key and getting a value. Now as I got all the values, what is my job? I need to get sum, I need to get average. So average is nothing but what? If you want to find an average of, you know, number like this. So what you do? You just sum this all values and divide by total number of values, right? So I just use the total number of values is 5, right? So this is the count and this is the sum. Right, so sum divided by count, that is 15 divided by 5 is the average. This is my average.
Yes.
Right, so similarly it is done here. Sum, okay, then sum divided by length of the values. So length of the values is going to give you the count in Python. That is the average. So clear on average portion?
Yes.
Any doubts on average? Okay.
Oh,
similarly, we use.
Sorry, what is the standard deviation?
I'm explaining the standard deviation now.
Yes.
So standard deviation is nothing but how much your observation is away from your mean. Okay, so let me try to explain it to you here. So say this is my straight line, okay, and this is my mean. So the straight line, this is my mean. Okay, so say out of all my observation, this is my mean. Now I have all the points, right? This is my point, this is my point. These are my observation real points. Okay, when I try to get a graph of it, okay, say for example, this is a normally distributed graph. Okay. It is coming somewhere like this. Okay, and this is my mean and this is my observed point. Now I want to find out the spread of it, the variation of my data, how much it is away from the mean. So that's what the standard deviation is. The observation actually away from your mean is what the standard deviation is. Let me tell you how to calculate this. If I have the values like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and I'm taking the average of it. Average. Okay, this is my average. Okay, now I want to understand how much is my standard deviation. So I need to, as I said, how much it is away from my mean, how much this particular observation are away from my mean, right? So that is what the standard deviation is. Now away from my mean, every observation is, so this minus this is my average, right? 5.5 is my average. So 2 away from my mean, 3 minus average, 4 minus average, 5 minus average, and all. But this is becoming a negative and the mixture of negative and the positive. So this became my, these are my actual observation. This is my x minus mean, right? But this is having negative and the positive both. So what I'll do is, I'll just do x minus mean, square it up. So I'll just do a square of it. So superscript with square. So this power of this comma 2. Okay. So this is my square. Now these are all the information that is coming as a part of my x values away from my mean, right? Now
Sorry, I have a
I want
question.
to have an, yeah.
So why do you square it? Sorry, I missed it.
Because there is some negative numbers and positive numbers here. So I
Oh,
just want to make it what one place. So I'm just squaring it up. Then I will do a square root of it when I get the answer. Okay.
oh, I see.
So I'm just squaring it up just to avoid the negative and the positive value, because I want to understand how much the overall observation are away from the mean. I don't care whether it's a positive side or the negative side for me.
Oh, I see.
That's why
Yes.
I'm squaring it up.
Oh, I see.
Now, this is the values which are individually away from the mean, but I want to see the impact of all the observation together. So I will just take the average of it. So that is x minus, this divided by number of observation. And divide by total number of observation, right? To get the average of all this. So this, so I need to take the sum. Okay, I have to write sum as well. Okay, sum of this divided by total number of observation, right? So I'll just get this sum of all this divided by total number of observation, that is 10. So this has become my variance in my data. Because why I'm calling it is a variance, because this is into the squared term. You can see it's a square. Now I don't want to see a variance. I have squared it here, so I need to do a square root as well to get it into the same units. So I will do a square root of this. So it is coming out to be 2.782. So this is my standard deviation. That is how much my values are away from the mean. Standard deviation is this. Square root of my this number, variance. Okay. Now let me check whether my answer is correct or not. So we have a standard deviation inside my by Excel tool as well. So if I just try to get the standard deviation of this, so you can see the answers are exactly matching. So this and these are both my answer is correct. Clear now?
Yes.
So that's what the standard deviation is. So you can see this is standard deviation. We have covered quantiles and we have covered the average and total. So we covered all the points.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. I see. And sorry for the quantile, I have a question. So why do you have to round the value? Oh, it's back in the code. Like they round up the value. It's def. Oh, we just do the describe, right?
No, describe is our manual function.
Oh,
This
okay.
is our manually created function.
Okay.
Our own customized function.
Yes. Oh, okay, good. Okay. So I have another question. So in the quantile, so 0.25 is the first quantile, right?
Yes, first quantile, second quantile, third quantile.
Oh, okay. Yes, I think I clear now.
Yeah, and this is how you get it a quantile. So there is a formula as well to calculate the quantiles. So this is how you calculate the quantiles, and this is how you calculate the standard deviation. The way I just did it in Excel, this is how it is. So see, first it is getting you the sum of all the values of the squared values. You can see this is the squared values. This is the mean. This is square root of what? Square root of observed value minus the mean and square root of it. So you can see this is what you will get as a part of your standard deviation.
And I have another question. So I see like the 2 star, like value star 2.
This one?
Yes. So
this is,
what does
yes. This is squaring it up. So this means like if you want to do a square of 2, so this is going to give me 4. So 2 squared 2. So square of 2 is 4. If I give you the 3, it is going to give me 8 because this is 2 cubed. I just do this. So this is used for squaring, cubing and all.
Yes. Yes, I understand that.
Yeah. Any doubts on question number 1?
Yes. Okay. Oh, actually, I'm reading the code, and why did you use? Why do we need to use route in the standard, in the quartile?
Sorry.
Yes, quartile, depth quartile.
This is the quartile, this is the value. Which quartile that you want to get, 25, 15, 50% or 75% into the length of the values.
Oh, okay. I see.
So this is the
Yes.
formula to get the quartiles, that's it.
Oh, okay. So it's a fixed formula. We just need to follow it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
that is the, I'll just give you the formula. So this is the formula, see. Uh, Here it is. So this is the formula, 0.25 into n plus 1.
Oh, okay.
Quartile formulas.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. I understand now.
Clear? Clear on question number 1?
Yes. Yes. I understand now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's try to go to the question number 2 now.
Yes.
So often we know we are not interested only on how the data is distributed. So this is how it is showing me how the data is distributed, right? So we are not always interested in how the distributed, but within the particular group, for example, how many items of each drug were prescribed, calculate the total items prescribed for each this name. What is the most commonly prescribed BNF in our data? To calculate this, we need to split our data into groups and corresponding with the different values of this, and then we can sum that up in a bucket. Do we have the solution to it? Let me check. So we will do this. So we have tried to divide it into groups. Okay. Let me copy paste. So we have a ready code to it. We will just use that. It's directly here itself. Wow, you also have your own code.
Maybe we can use the.
This is.
Let me.
So this is what it is. So let me check the output. Let me check what we are getting as a part of this. So see, here I am getting all the list of BNF names. So these are all the BNF names. Okay. So getting from the script itself. So I'm just getting all the BNF name that is there as a part of my data. So list of BNF names are saved here. Okay. So this is giving me the list of all the unique values in the BNF name. So set is a data type which only saves the unique values. Say for example, I'll just give you an example. Okay. So set is defined as this. If I just do 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5. When I run this piece of code, it is only going to give me the unique values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not all the values. That is what the set is. This is a set. Okay. So set, the property of a set is to give you the unique values. So I have gone through all the values of this script and saved it in a set to give the unique values of BNF name. So I have around 5,619 unique values. Clear? Okay. Now once I have the unique value of groups, okay, we want to conduct the group wise study here. So this is the group wise study. Let me copy the code for you over here and paste it over here. So see group name in every BNF name. So let me check what exactly it is giving me as an output. So if I run this piece of code and create a new code here and check what exactly the groups are coming. So this is giving me the group and a list. Okay, so,
Mm-hmm.
so name, what is the name of a particular BNF name, and this is working as a key. Okay, so this is my key, and every key is having the empty list, no values inside it. Okay, so every key is having some empty list associated to it. So that's what we have done it here. So this is the name of a group and as a key of a dictionary and an empty list. Now what we are doing it here, we are going through every single values of it. So we are again doing a for loop, appending with all the scripts and searching groups. So groups, getting it appended here, max of sum for this group items and getting you this. Okay, so what is doing? Let me check. So max items are here. Now if I just check the groups, let me check whether the values are there or not. It is taking a lot of time to load it. But let me try to decode it for you by the time it is getting printed. So what exactly it has given? So first of all, we have the, okay, it is loaded now. I need to get the output. Okay, anyways, let me try to decode for you. So let's understand the question for now. So our first was to calculate the total item prescribed into the. So let's try to understand the question first. Often we are not interested in the distribution, right? So often we are not always interested in all these values. But within a particular group, for example, how many items of each drug were prescribed? So I want to count the number of items. That is, I want to calculate the total item prescribed for the particular every group into the BNF name. So what and which one is the most commonly prescribed BNF name in our data? So first I want to find out the total number of, total, and most commonly used is maximum number of time it is prescribed. So max. So this is max. Say for example, I'm having group A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. Okay, and this is prescribed 10 times, this is prescribed 12 times, this is prescribed 14 times, this is prescribed 8 times. And if I want to figure out which one is the most commonly prescribed drug, so I can just get the maximum of it and I can say okay, for 10, and this is the most prescribed group, right? So this is most prescribed group is what it is, nothing but a max,
Oh, I
right, in
see.
our data. So,
Mm-hmm.
so to do that, we have to first need to split all this group into this BNF name, and then we sum the total number of item dispensed within each group, and finally we take the largest sum, right? So
Mm-hmm.
largest sum is nothing but the max. So this is what it is doing. So we divided into the groups, okay? Then we created, appended every script within this group as a part of my BNF name. The every script is getting, appended here. Then we are just taking this is okay. So this we are running two for loops here. So the smaller for loops, this for loop is used for the sum,
Mm-hmm.
and this for loop is used for this is the list comprehension used for the max. So first I will do the sum and then I will do the max. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever value that I'm going to get it here is going to give me that this is the group of my BNF which is most prescribed, and the number is 11,000. Okay, 1,13,826 time it is prescribed. So this
Mm-hmm.
is the highest, BNF name or the particular drug which is prescribed maximum number of time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have a question. Can you explain for me the syntax? Here, like in the last line, max item, they like yes, that's part I don't
This
understand.
one,
Yes.
this one. Okay, so
Yes.
this is nothing but sorting the data from the end. Say for example, if you have a list, okay, list 10. Okay, so I'm having a list like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is just used for subsetting and
Mm-hmm.
uh, data like 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10. This is my list. Okay. Its index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0. Okay. Now, if I just want to fetch only first few rows of it, so this is going to give me all the values between 0 to 3 index. Okay. If I want to fetch all the rows, I will just put like this. If I want to fetch only second index value, I have to put 2 here. So it is going to give me 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. If I just put -1 here, it is going to print it into a reverse way. So instead of 1 to 10, it is going to give me 10 to 1.
Oh, I see.
So that is what it is doing here. It is reversing the list
I
from
see.
the end. That's all.
But what is those like two first thing? Like, so,
Okay.
yes.
So see, this is the main list comprehension technique. Okay, so this is the main one. So this is the bigger for loop. Okay, and within that for loop, we have one more for loop as well. So this is the for loop within it. This is the for loop within it, which is starting from here and ending here. Right. Now, my idea is to first run a for loop name and the group and get you the group and items here. So my group of items, this will be my name and this will be my group. Now, once I have the name and the group, I'm going to use it in my another for loop, that is here. So for every member in the group, I want to get the items, and that items I will do the summation. Once I have the item, I will do the summation of it. So all the groups in the item is summed up here using this particular list comprehension. Now once I have the values summed up, I'm going to do the sorting of it and get the maximum out of it. That's it.
I see. So why do you need to use both of the sorting and the max? Oh, because the sorting is only sort from the biggest to the smallest, and you need to get
Exactly.
max. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. I got it. Yes, I think I got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Any doubts on question number 2 now?
Yes, I understand now.
Okay. So it is nothing but summing it up and getting the maximum out of it. That's it. Let me check for the question number 3. By field.
Oh, wait, let me send you the original code that I get it from. I just sent you the GitHub link where I got the original code from. So just in if my Jupyter notebook missing some value. Yes, I think this part I haven't put input in from the original file yet. So I just sent you a link on Zoom for the original file on GitHub. Maybe we can use the code in there to explain the.
Sure. So you are clear with question number 1 and 2, right?
Yes. I think I didn't finish question number 2 though, because I only copy a part of the code in the question number 2. Yes, I only max. And then we have another.
Just get 0 group by field. So
Oh, can you talk about tuple?
Sorry?
Can you talk about tuple?
Tuple. Okay.
Yes.
So tuple is a very interesting, data type. Actually, that's my favorite as well. So tuple is a kind of data type which doesn't do any, edit. So once tuple is created, it is not going to delete your data, or you cannot do any deletion or subtraction. Say for example, I'm having a list 10, okay, and it is having the values like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this is my list. Okay. Now if I want to change the value of say 0th or say 5th index to 100, okay, and then I check the list again, you can see it has changed my number 5 to 100, right? Now, but if the same is done with the tuple is not going to allow me this. So see, if I'm having a tuple is defined with the round brackets. So this is my round bracket. So this is a tuple. Okay. Now,
Oh.
once this is created, okay, when I try to change any value, say if I want to change the value of 200, it is going to give me an error because tuples does not allow you to change any value once it is created. So that is the characteristics of a tuple.
Oh, I see. So why the next?
This is one time. Yeah, this
Oh,
is one
yes.
time generation. That's it.
I see. Oh, okay. Because the next code, dev group by field, they use tuple.
Yes, yes. They want to, once it is created, they don't want to delete that field. That's why they are using a
Oh,
tuple.
okay. So that is the one of the function you just type tuple in, and then it convert the list into tuple, right?
Yes, yes, that is true. Say I'm having this list right now. If I want to convert this list into a tuple right away, so I just need to write this tuple and give this list, and it is going to convert it into a tuple right away.
Oh, okay, I see.
So this is the list which is going on, and I'm converting into a list tuple. That's it.
Yes. Uh, oh, okay. Can you explain for me the group equal name? And I don't understand that syntax.
Which one?
Oh, in 21, groups equal name. Yes, that one.
This one. This is just creation of empty names list. So I'm getting names as a part of my data, which is this. Okay, let me try to decode for you.
Yes.
By field. So this is my group by field. Let me copy paste it here. Okay, let me write this piece of code. And I'm getting a result using group. Perfect. Now you can see here what is the job of group by field. Okay, so group by field, it is first going to give you the names of all the fields. So it is, I'm using practice as my field name. Okay, and the BNF name is there. So for every field in fields, okay, so every field in fields, I'm going to only fetch the item field. Okay, so what is my item? So item is nothing but my data. That is this. So this is the item. This is item field for every field in my data. So let me check where the data names are mentioned here. So for every data, so data is BNF name. Okay, and names item field for fields in field. Okay, here it is. For every item in a data. Okay, so data is nothing but my BNF name. Okay, perfect. So this is my data. So BNF name is my data right now. Okay. So as you can see, this is what it is. The data is okay. So for every item in my data, so I'm going to go through every values of my BNF name. Then in that item, I'm only going to fetch the fields these practices that every field in my practice. So if I just open this for you, okay, there will be something named as practice. We just created BNF name right here. BNF names. Okay, it is BNF names, not name. So this is my BNF names. Okay. And what is my scripts? Where is my, just hold on a minute. Let me try to decode it first. Group by field, tuple, item field for field and fields. This is my, okay, scripts is my data. Okay. Sorry for that. I'm really sorry for that. So script is my data, not my BNF name. So my data is going as a script and I'm trying to fetch only BNF name and practice out of it. Okay, so first I'm going to check for BNF and then I'm going to check for practice. Okay, so in the script data, let me show you the script. So this is my script data, right? So in my script data, I'm having the BNF names. Where is it? Uh, you can see here, this is the BNF name and this is the practice, which is part of my data key. Okay, so this is going to give me only the values of BNF name and the practice, like this name and the practice, which is saved in the, as a part of my names. Now, once I have the list of names here, I'm going to create it into a group as empty names. So the BNF name and an empty list beside it. So if you want to see here, I can just show you. Right, groups. And then you can run this. Now you can see here that you will able to see this is getting printed for every single value. So you can see here this is getting printed. All empty list will be printed, right? I showed it to you, right? And I just did the same thing here as well in question number 1. We created a list and the empty list. Okay, we deleted that data itself. Okay, anyway, so what we are doing is like this. It is creating a BNF name. Okay, so group of BNF name as a key, BNF name as, okay, and the value is nothing but an empty list. So it is just like this. With the any BNF name group you can just think of, and as a key, and it is giving you the value of that particular BNF name is nothing but an empty list, like that. So this is what names is doing. Where it
It's
is.
append into a list, right?
Yeah, so values are all the empty list first. That's it. Then we are using that group's, empty list here itself, and then we are fetching the data of every atom and appending with the group name. That's it. Nothing much. You are filling that groups which are empty with the name of a field which is practice. So every field name have a practice associated to it. So finally I will get an output like this. So if I just show you the result, you will see more into it. This is my result. You can see this is my group, right? And this is my group, right? So this is my group and this is my list. So this is my one of my group, right? And let me show you the first value so you can be more clearer to it. So see, this is my key, right? And in this key, this is my tuple number 1, okay? And this is my value, which is part of my list. So you can see list is starting here and ending here. So this is my one list, and this is my group of my BNF name. Yeah. So I'm filling these values. That's it. Can you imagine? Are you able to visualize it? or no? So earlier it was an empty list. Now it is filled up with some values here using this for loop. So this was an empty list before. Uh, so this was an empty list, right? Before only the names. Then it was filled up with all the item fields within it. That's why I'm getting all the items fields, PNF names, items, NIC, practice, quantity, all is coming up as a part of my data within this list. So this is was empty before, like this was like this before. See, this was like this before. That's it. Okay, and an empty list. Now this list is filled up with all these values. That is starting from here till here. This is where the list is filled up. That is this. Are you able to visualize it? This is the key and this is the value within the list. Jen, are you there? Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think I got
I,
disconnected. Sorry.
no problem.
Yes, sorry.
No problem. So you can still see my screen or no?
No, I think I got disconnected. Sorry, can you say just
Okay.
yes, sorry about that.
So where were you lost? I can just repeat it for you, no problem.
Yes, I think I lost at a part of the appending to this. I got through question 2. I think at the question 3, I start to get lost.
Okay, so you're clear with question 2 and question 1? No?
Yes, I'll clear with question 2 and 1.
Okay, so let's try to understand the question number 3.
Yes.
So what is question number 3? Let's first try to decode it. Okay. So our data set is broken among the different files. Okay. This is the typical tabular data to reduce the redundancy. Each table typically contains the data of a particular type event, processes, and physical objects. The data on the prescriptions and the medical practices are in the separate files in our cases. If you want to find the total item prescribed in each postal code, we have to join the prescription data to the clinical data. So we are supposed to do the joins of two data here. If you want to combine the prescribed data and the clinical data. And once this is joined together, we have to find the total items prescribed in each postal code. So every postal code, we want to find the prescription representing the result in a list of totals, so postal code and total number of items. So this is the kind of expected output. So let me first of all try to print the scripts and print the practices here. So this is my code. Let me check whether this is there or not. So this is my scripts. Okay, BNF code, items, practice, BNF name. This is my nothing but my drug name, right? NIC, actual cost, and this is the quantity. And similarly, this is the geographical info where the practice is the name, code, address, street, and the postal code and all. right? Now I'm going to combine these two together. So what is the key to combine? So the key to combine both is should be having a same common key. So practice, I think practice should be the there. Yeah. So I think code, practice and code are having the same thing. So this is the practice and this is the practice. So I can use this as a key and this as a code to merge two data set. Okay. So this is the key. Now that what it must be doing it here as well. So you can see first I need to merge it here. So this is the code to merge. Create a new file here. So first I am having all the empty list. Practice in practices get me all the postal code within it. If postal code is not in the practice code, okay, then you should copy that code. If code is there, then it should take the minimum of this two postal code. What is the, let me try to read it for you. So we can join the scripts and practices based on the fact that practices in the script matches with the code in the practices, right? So this is going to match with this. That is what it is telling. However, we must first deal with the repeated values of the code. If you want to join two tables, we should not have the repeated values into the code. It should have a unique values. So we want to alphabetically first, get all the postal codes in this data. Okay, so this is only going to give me the unique list of postal code without any repetition. Okay, so practice code and practice postal code. So this is, I'm getting the practice code as well, and also from the practices itself, I'm getting the postal code as well. Okay, and the minimum of this is going to be part of my postal code final. If code is already there in my practice postal, if code is not there in my practice postal, okay. Now what is this doing? Okay, so this is actually nothing but I'm trying to fetch the unique list of practice codes. That's it. I'm just getting the unique list of postal codes from the practice data set. That's it, nothing much. So if it is already there, then I should be using it as a part of the minimum value. If it is not there, I should not be using it. When I run this piece of code and try to understand output, you can see I will be getting all the list of postal codes here, the unique list.
Yes.
With the code. So see, this is all the unique list.
Yes.
Here?
Yes.
Any doubt so far?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Now once I have the postal code ready with me, it is now easy for me to do the joins. So that must be the next step. So you can see this is just a challenge. Now we have to join it. So this is join. So I'm getting all the scripts into this join, a script in join, and if it is part of the postal code, I should be getting it from here. So this is join. So I'm getting the data joined here. So this is what the join is. So instead of writing here, this 3 lines of code is nothing but I have to, this is my data, right? So I just copy paste from here. That's it. So this is my join. Now you can see my both scripts and my practice data has been joined together here. Now if I just check the output, you will see that I'm getting a joined data together. So you can see I'm getting a actual cost, BNF code, postal code. So every data has a postal code. Earlier scripts was not having postal codes at all, if you remember. So there was no postal code in the scripts. So it was only having BNF name, item, practice, and all. See, can you see postal code here? No, it was not part of my script. Now it has been joined together. Now every practice have a postal code as well within part of the joint data set. So this is the joint data where we have actual cost, BNF name, items, NIC, and postal code also is present. Earlier postal code was not there. Okay. Now we have the postal code and the practice. Now all we need to do is do the sum. That's it. So we have to do a group by join with items and get the sum of it. So if I run this, and finally it is sorting out. So
Mm-hmm.
once I have the group with me, all I need to do is I need to figure out that group and sum that value. And so this is going to give me the joined list of all the items. This is where it is going to give me the sum. And once it is summed up together, it is going to give you the sorting.
Yes.
Now, if I just create a new here, item post, you will see this is the going to give me all the summed value of by each postal code, all prescribed value by each postal code. So this is the postal code and this is the sum of all the items.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any doubts?
Yes, I'm good.
Question number 3.
Yes.
Let's try to jump to question number 4 quickly.
Yes.
So this is item by region. So we will combine the techniques we have developed to answer more complex question. Now find the most commonly dispensed item. So again, it is asking me most commonly. So what I'll do for most commonly? I will get the max of it, right? So
Oh,
most
I
commonly
see.
dispensed item represent the result in the list of tuples. So we will continue the joint variable. So we have created a joint variable here. So we are going to continue to use that. Now we have chosen to alphabetically first the postal code for each practice. Additionally, some postal code will have the multiple BNF name with the same number of item prescribed for the maximum in this case. So we will alphabetically first this. Now we need to calculate the total items of each BNF name on each postal code and use this technique we developed into the previous question. So this is group by field. So this is what we are going to anyways use it in this question as well. So we just discovered about group by field, right? So we are just going to copy paste here our group by field as a part of my question number 4. So this is necessary requirement for this as well. So once I have the groups with me, then I'm going to find out the postal code as well. So this is what the postal code we have defined. So that is also required as a part. So this is all coming from the previous question, nothing new. So this is the mandatory requirement for this question as well.
Oh,
Okay.
I see.
Then we are going to use the join. So this is all the joins. Okay. Now
Yes.
we have created this. Then these are the 2 statements or 3 statements that are new. So this is this. Okay, this is also done. We already did this as well. That's question number 3. So this is also question number 3. Right. So we joined it together, sum it up, and created. So this is going to give me the question number 3 output C. So if I just give you the named group by, it is going to total number of items by PNF name. Okay. Now what is this? I have the joint data statement here, right? So this is joint data statement. This is my joint data statement. Now I'm going to use this joint data set and only going to group by using the postal code and the BNF name. That's it. So postal code and the BNF name I'm going to group by together into the named as named underscore group. If I run this piece of code, only this piece of code here, and try to figure out what is saved here. So this is going to give me that item dictionary is not supporting index. Okay, fine. Then I'm just going to do this.
Oh, sorry, another question. So in here, group by field. So joint is so I see like postcode and BNF name like they are in the same bracket. So why is that? I don't understand.
Sorry, please come again.
So you see like group by field, and I see like the postcode and the BNF name. They are both in the same bracket, while joint
Yes.
different bracket. So
Because
I
I
don't
want to,
understand.
yeah, if you just look into this group by field, it is asking for list of all the fields that you want to do the group by.
Oh.
So I want to do a group by of 2 fields together. So I have to give it 2 fields.
Oh, I see.
If I want to do a group by of any one field, I should have given only 1 field.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I run this piece of code. Let me check if I'm getting the output or not. Runtime disconnected. So there is some disconnected happening. Oh, here runtime. So runtime is getting disconnected for this piece of code.
Yes. Oh, okay.
So you can see I'm getting the list of all the, this is the postal code, this is the BNF name, and this is the total number of items.
Oh,
That's why we have given two groups. So this is my postal code, one of it. This is my BNF name, and then it is the total items.
I see. So it's quite like SQL, right? Like SQL, like the method is similar, right?
Yeah. So group by method is similar. That's true. We have just created our own function to group by it in Python. The customized function to group by the values.
I see.
The syntax is different, but logic is the same.
Oh, I see. So does any of the library like Pandas or NumPy support the group by?
Yeah, we have. Yes, we have. In library, in pandas, we have group by library, pd.group by.
Oh, okay.
Pandas.group by. But as we are not supposed to use that pandas library, we have to do all this exercise manually.
I see. Can you quickly show me like how would the syntax in Panda for group by is?
Yeah, I'll show you. So say in the script, okay, so in this I'm having a script. So I think we already created one of the pandas data frame, right?
Oh, I think you deleted.
Is it?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, no problem. Let me try to get it here again. Okay, so if I'm having a scripts, so this is my scripts, right? And underscore m equals to cd dot data frame. Okay, I'm getting it as a part of my scripts. So this is my data frame. Where it is. Yeah, this is my data frame. Okay, and this is going to be my data frame, how it looks. Okay, now if I want to do a group by of it, all I need to do is this dot group by, give the two values within it. So my two values are nothing but what? It is practice. Sorry, first I need to get a postal code, right? So postal code, then I have to get you the practice, then I have to give you the name of a variable, that is quantity, and sum. That's it. You will get it. Okay. There is something wrong with my syntax. Let me check.
Oh, I think you didn't install the Panda library. Oh, okay.
Yeah, see.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
So this is how you can do group by in pandas.
Oh, okay. Yes, I got it.
We have done the groups here with the postal code and all, and then we have to find the total items of the same. That's it.
Oh, okay. I
And
see.
once we have the totals ready, then we will be sorting out as well and finding the final results. That's it.
Yes, I
You
see.
want me to run it, or you want me to? It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
You understand this?
Yes, I understand. Oh, yes, I think I got it. We still have some time. Do you still have some time to start with the second one in the algorithm, or would you like to let it in another class?
Yeah, we can keep it for other class.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for the session, Manish. So, I